Should have grabbed a drink before I started. Oh well. Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I just wanted to get on camera recording some of my first impressions with Paper Mario, the Origami King. So, for anyone that is not aware, this is the latest Paper Mario game, just came out a couple of days ago. And as the name obviously implies, the sort of titular or mechanic or theme or concept is origami in this one. So, they've done stickers in the past with Sticker Star. Color Splash had kind of like a paint theme going on. This one is origami. And I've played probably about 4-5 hours or so. I'm sort of like just getting through the first milestone event. Most RPGs have a go collect a certain number of mythical objects or relics and or find the 8 crystals and or defeat the 8 elemental bosses, whatever it might be. This game has something sort of similar, and I just did the first one of those. There's not 8 total, but I did the first. And so yeah, I thought it would be fun to sort of just get down my thoughts on it. I like that this game coming out when it did, right alongside Ghost of Tsushima, is basically a recreation of when Doom and Animal Crossing came out. Like, there's not as much fan art, but the idea that such like a bright, cute, colorful game is coming out alongside, a rated M, mature, kind of a little bit more intense game. It's just funny how the releases keep lining up like that. Yeah, so what are my initial thoughts here? For anyone that wasn't there, I streamed the first couple hours, the opening 2 hours of this game on my Twitch page, which I'll put the link to down below if you want to come watch. I will be probably streaming more of this game because I did have a lot of fun. Right off the gate, the first thing you notice when you play it is that this is a really, really good-looking game. They've done a lot to take the concept of paper craft and like turning all of their different enemies into origami creatures. And what I didn't realize at first is that not everything in the world is origami themed. Like, I thought every single thing would be origami and otherwise it would just be kind of stock standard. But what actually is the case is the enemies are origami, and the process of like turning something into origami is sort of what makes them like stronger and more villainous. And so you get an interesting blend of like all these folded up enemies with more traditional Paper Mario looking people. But yeah, it looks really good. The density of just like little touches in the world, like it seems like something minor, but you'll be walking along a path and there'll be multiple like laid over pieces of construction paper on the path in front of you, and then like one corner maybe peeling up or bent, something like that. And it's not always just because that's where a secret is hidden. Sometimes it's literally just because that is like an added little flourish and touch that they put into the world. And then, as you get started, it opens up with sort of the same premise that most Paper Mario games and most Mario and Luigi RPGs do, where it's like, you're invited to some kind of festival or some kind of event, and then it turns out villains have arrived and done something bad, and now as Mario, you need to go solve the problem. And they do that same thing. The opening is a little bit slow, and it's actually like an hour and a half or so before you kind of like get into the swing of regular battles. You do like one tutorial battle, and then other than that, it's just a lot of text and a lot of dialogue. Speaking of the dialogue, probably the best thing I can say about this game is that the writing is really good. There's a lot of like pretty smart little witty quips that the different characters have, especially the toads. So you'll come across these different toads hidden in the world. They're usually like folded up and jammed in between 2 boards, or pressed under a rock, or there's a million different ways that they hide these toads throughout the world, and you're trying to find them and flatten them back out to turn them back into paper toads. And the dialogue that they have when you rescue one of them is usually pretty funny. Like, they're surprisingly sarcastic, or they'll like scold you for flattening them out because, like, for example, one of them that you find has been folded into an origami butterfly and he's flying around, and you flatten him back out, and he's like, oh, well, thanks a lot, but I would have rather been able to fly, so cool. Speaking of the battles, so for anyone that has seen the the previews, you'll know that the battles take place on this kind of ring system. And the way that it works is for everything other than the boss battles, Mario's in the center, and the enemies are on one of 4 rings on the outside, and those rings are broken into like 6 or 8 different sections. And so the enemies will scramble at the start, and then you'll have a certain number of moves where you need to either rotate the ring or move enemies forward or backward along the different rows in order to line them up into certain configurations. And at this point, there's really only 2 configurations I'm looking for. You either want everything to be in a straight line so you can use your boots to bounce off of each of them, or you want to put them all into a square 2x2 grid so that your hammer can hit everybody because it hits a little bit of an AoE. And at this point, the concept of trying to get them lined up like that isn't too bad. They usually only scramble by like 1 or 2 moves, and it's not too hard to figure out. I'm hopeful that later in the game that those battles will get more complex, because right now it's fun, but it's a little bit easy. And there's not experience points in the game at all. You don't level up through battles. All battles reward is coins. And honestly, at this point, I haven't had a huge need for coins. So you're sort of incentivized to skip over the battles a little bit once you've sort of seen what the enemies can do and feel like you have enough money. All that is to say, I think it's a really fun battle system, and I think it has a lot of potential. I just think I'm a little bit early on, and I'd like to see it develop a little bit more into harder puzzles, basically. I think that they've designed a good system that can have really complex, devious puzzles. I just haven't gotten far enough to see them, and I'm hopeful that it does. Other than that, the music in the game is really good. There's some really nice remixes, and it's like really funky, kind of like electro-y jazz versions of some Mario songs that you're familiar with. And then there's some original scores in there too. The environments are just packed so dense with things to discover. Basically, everywhere you go, you can like find toads hidden in trees, or find hidden little pathways behind objects, or you're rewarded for challenging the camera in the game. And so if you like walk towards the camera where it doesn't seem like you can go, usually it'll reveal a hidden path, stuff like that. So I think the environmental design and just the way that the world is constructed is really intelligent. Yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm very hopeful that it's going to continue to be as fun as it is. I think it is up there basically with Super Paper Mario at this point in terms of how much I enjoy it, other than I'd like to see a little more complexity in the battle system. But overall, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a really good Paper Mario game. If Paper Mario continues along the trajectory of not being an RPG, which is sort of the direction it seems to be going, that's fine, as long as they keep doing interesting things like this. So, yeah, maybe I'll do a more formalized review of exactly what I thought of the game when I get all the way through, see if it lives up to some of my like more hopeful expectations that I had. Otherwise, like I mentioned, yeah, you can hop over to Twitch and watch me play some of it over there. But yeah, very much enjoying the game. If you've been playing it, let me know what you think of it. I'm curious to know what other people's opinions are. Or if you haven't picked it up, let me know if you plan to, you know? I know some people are a little disappointed that it hasn't been an RPG since Thousand Year Door, and I get that, but I think if you take Paper Mario on its own terms for what it is now, which is a platformer with a little bit of the DNA of an RPG lingering in it, I think you can have a lot of fun. So, as always, thank you for watching. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.